Hello guys and welcome back to some more Higurashi Matsuribayashi. The final battle. Last time we saw a bit of a counterattack from the Takano side. Tomotaki has been captured despite a pretty good effort to escape, and the Bloodhound's Talon has been missed, so hopefully we can call them in another instance, but the original plan is a little ruined. Irei managed to escape pretty much by a lucky encounter with Shion and um Kasai. I almost forgot his name. Um, but unlucky, Irei has a tracking device on his jacket, so they will know. Well, they won't exactly know about this hidden base, but they will know the general area. So that's not good. Though the area outside is trapped out, I believe, so we might be able to escape. But yeah, it's getting pretty intense. So let's just start it out, dude. Of course, it wasn't as and maybe I should have read the first line. The Sonozaki family basement had a security system which displayed images captured from various security cameras on the property. Of course, it wasn't as high-tech as the one at the Irei Institute. It was in the room on the second floor of the Gasso house, a Japanese-style room where you had to know to avoid hitting your head. New terminology. I didn't know about that. Gas show? Or is it gas show? With bundles of wires snaking away from the monitors, it felt like a hidden chamber. There was electricity and a phone nearby, and although it was in the basement, it had all the basic amenities of the Sonozaki residence. At first, all the club members had watched the monitor curiously, but after a while, it got too hot in such a tiny room. Mian and Rena stayed in the room to observe the monitor.
みーちゃん、なんだろう。車が入ってきたよ。これは笠井さんの車だね。多分シオンでしょ。今日の祭りに合わせて遊びに来たってことだろうね。たく、なんでこんな日に。空気の読めないやつ。
Having Shion on the squad, though, is just a bonus. Plus, he did Tasai, dude. We haven't even seen him in action, really. The granny had been at the shrine since the early morning, so there was nobody upstairs to answer the door. And if Mion didn't answer it, Shion would think that nobody was home. Mion wondered if she should tell Shion what was going on. Shion could be helpful sometimes. As his car stopped in front of the gate, someone was getting out of it. Kyrie!
みーちゃん、あれ監督だよ。
They saw Shion and Kasai holding Irie on the monitor. Obviously, something serious had happened.
行ってみよう。レナにケイちゃん、一緒に来て。
And with Kasai, maybe we'll actually get some help from the Sonozaki family. You know, my plea to ask the Sonozaki family for help might finally be answered for once.
リカちゃんは表に出ちゃダメだよ。羽生はそれでも出てかないよ。
So shit's about to go down right now, so there might not even be enough time really to call them up.
お任せですわ。なのです。み、ひどいのです。
Ano Desu. Maybe Okanori had made the right decision. If he had let Nightingale go in as Takano had ordered, it would have been on the monitor. But Okanori ordered them to stand by until another unit arrived, so they waited. So Mian didn't notice the enemy was about to attack. By this time there were many vehicles belonging to the mountain dogs, parked by the windmill. Okanori and Phoenix One had joined with Nightingale, and they were getting ready to head in. Oh shit, okay, so they're a lot closer than I thought. However, it had been a good idea to leave Satoko to watch the monitor. And if Mion hadn't gone out, Ire would have been killed. Mian didn't know it yet, but Irie was their only hope of rescuing Tomitaki. That is true. You need both his fingerprint and the ID card. So as a result, entirely by circumstance, they did everything correctly.
おねえもう神社の方かな。シオン、お姉たちどっから来てんですか。さては地下にいましたね。あそこで遊んでるって鬼ババに言いつけますよ。んなことはどうでもいい。監督は監督。
まさかやられたのか。
ってことはお姉たちも訳ありのようですね。何が起こってるんです？しーちゃん、話すからよく聞いて。実はね。
Just all on the spot, huh?
監督、何があったんですか。すみません。富武さんが山犬に捕まりました。診療所の地下区画に囚われているようです。私は逃げるときに奴らに追われて事故を起こしてしまい。
Irie explained everything he could while enduring the pain. Everyone was happy to see him safe, but Mian's expression quickly grew stern. Then she asked Shion a question.
追われてる。尾行はなかったよ。
とにかく中へ。良くない雲行きです。
They heard the sound of a car approaching. Oh shit, it's going down right now! Also, we also forgot to mention, Akasaka is on his way, running. And it wasn't alone. Who could it be at this time of day? It's a waste of precious seconds to even think that. Yo, I hope Kasai doesn't die, dude. I wasn't really thinking about him, but, you know, if they kill... I mean, it's a perfect world, but I feel like maybe a side character can die. Dun dun dun. Kasai picked up both sisters and ran through the gate. Yeah, they shouldn't know about it, but they'll track Irie's thing, so it's kind of unlucky.
Uguisu 6標的を発見。R の友人数人も一緒です。
間違いないわ。そうよね。ジローさん。
Tomitaki was lying on the floor of the security room. His hands and legs were cuffed, and there was another pair of handcuffs to connect them, leaving him bent backwards on the floor. Oh. He couldn't get up or even turn around. Takano laughed and poked Tomitachi's side with the toe of her shoe. The mounted odds climbed over the fence easily. There's no need for anyone to explain at this point. It was obvious that they were the enemy and they were the mountain dogs that Rika had spoken about many times. They went through the grove of trees and headed for the entrance of the underground storehouse. The first 5 mountain dogs were supposed to capture them all, but they fell down one after another. Just as one of the mountain dogs started to wonder why they fell, he felt something on his leg. And that's the moment he was flying through the air. Trap Toko. As he stood up, his leg got pulled again. He realized that there was a rope wrapped around his leg. Because of the way he fell, the rope was wrapped tightly around it and it wouldn't come off easily. Satoko had set up lots of traps in the bushes. After all, she wouldn't just sit around all day on an empty property. That's what I'm saying. The club members headed to the underground storehouse one after another. The mountain dogs couldn't do anything, although they did see them.
閉めるよ。みんな力を貸して。
せーの。
It was a heavy door, but when they put their strength together, it closed easily. He unlocked the door quickly, putting the deadbolt on for good measure.
これ大丈夫かな。破られないかな。テレビには5台、6台、いえ、もっと映ってたかもしれませんわ。
Maybe you should try going through the well entrance and not die.
全部ワゴン車で、中には変な男たちがいっぱい。
簡単には破られないでしょうが、荒ごとに慣れている連中です。
Well, to be fair, we know the police broke them down, so they're definitely not unbreakable. You remember from Watanabe and Maitashi.
過信しない方がいいでしょう。
Before he could even finish speaking, someone pounded on the door. The second group of mountain dogs had arrived. Although the heavy door was separating them, it wasn't at all comforting to know that the enemy was just on the other side.
私の失態ですみません。
It is, but it's also like not fully your fault, dude. Don't worry, coach. We'll get out of this together.
監督は何も失敗してないですよ。とにかく奥へ行こう。
そうだな。監視カメラの様子で敵の人数を探ろうぜ。
ああ、はいはい。私はのけ者で事情もわからずいきなりクライマックスですよ。はーい。あ、もう。あんたには5分時間ができたら全部説明するから。
ウグイス1より大鳥1。標的は防空壕のようなところへ逃げ込んだ。扉は鋼鉄製、突破できない。
大鳥1了解。この園崎家ってやつはとんでもない金持ちだな。
True. I wish I had well, I don't even have a basement, but if I did, steel door it, dude.
敷地が広すぎて包囲は不可能だ。包囲は断念。俺たちも突入に加わるぞ。ウグイスはその辺の倒木を探せ。大筒にして扉をぶち破る。
Oh shit. It's actually kind of badass. Literally using trees as a battering ram, huh?
インドア用のプラバクがあります。準備しますか。
Plastic explosives are explosives for military use. There are various different kinds, but he was talking about the type specifically made to break down doors. Okanori momentarily thought it was a good idea, but changed his mind right away. This was a small village. If there was an explosion, everyone would hear. Yeah, that's a great point. Don't want to blow the cover yet. It was daytime and they were on the surface. It was the worst time and place for the mountain dogs to do their job. Like I said before, Okanodi's been carrying Team Takano for most of it. Until Takano finally got the big brain idea about Ire being suspicious.
いや待て。今何時だ？
もうじき10時です。
10.
使えるぞ。大鳥7、やるぞ。
Wonder why that would be better. You know, a lot of the people are at oh, maybe it's because a lot of them are at the temple working, but I don't know. Let's hear what he has to say after.
は？隊長、どうして10時だと爆破が可能なんですか？
Explain it to me. Otonoji's mind was working sharper than ever. He was sure that this would work. Dude, my dude's a big brain god right now. Oh, maybe he's bombing somewhere else, or I don't know. Everyone gathered in the secret room.
みんな大丈夫なのですか？監視カメラを見てましたのです。敵 分30人くらいいますのです。
It's a lot of guys.
そんなにかよ。やってくれるぜ。
ちょっとスイッチをいじるよ。連中立ち往生してるよ。
When Mia touched a switch, the screen switched to the view of the entrance to the basement. Some of the mountain dogs were checking out the door. They didn't appear to be trying to force it open, they were simply at a loss for what to do.
向こうはどう打って出るでしょう。こっちを袋のネズミと思ってますもの。多分大勢で体当たりでもして無理やり破る気ですわ。
なんだこいつら、丸太なんか持ってきて。
どうやらあれで扉を打ち破ろうとしているようです。
Okay, so they're still doing the battering ram. I wonder what they're gonna use the explosive for. It's probably for something else then.
今、サトコが袋のネズミだと言いました。なら、相手が扉を開けようと苦闘している間に、ここを脱出するべきだと思います。
And the well is pretty hidden too, so they might not know about it immediately. I mean, they would because of Yuri's jacket, dude. Oh man, hopefully they figure that out, but it's probably gonna be pretty hard.
同感です。それに、富武さんも助け出さないと。
そうだね。いくらここの壁が厚くても、敵に見つかったら価値はないと思う。レナも脱出する時だと思うな。おねえ、この状況ならもうとっくに警察に電話できる段階じゃありません。
Calling Oishi personally, maybe, but
だね。一番最初の市民の権利を忘れてたよ。仮に警察のスパイに電話を聞かれたとしても、もうこの段階
that is true. That is true. Might as well just alert him.
大井さんが駆けつけてくれるはずさ。
Mion picked up the phone. Why hadn't she thought about this earlier? To be honest, I didn't either for some reason. Jammed? Oh, did they already do their phone jamming already? I guess they did say they would set it up earlier. Because, you know, and normally they do it at the night when they kill Rika. They must have done it earlier. Who's talking about it, right? Mion panicked as she tried to listen for a dial tone.
電話がなんで？うんともすんとも言わない。
ケーブルが切られたかもしれません。
Or maybe just their specific line. That could also be the answer. Oh, they cut off the electricity, dude. That's pretty smart too.
なんだろう、停電？
Obviously not a power failure. Kase lit a cigarette lighter, and Mion turned her emergency flashlight on.
地下の弱点を突かれたね。でも、これだけ暗ければ敵だって。
They actually do have night vision goggles. We know that, right?
わかんないけど、多分暗闇でも見える機械とかあるんじゃない？持ってそうよね、あの連中。ミオさん、どうして敵は電気を切断しましたの？ただの嫌がらせ？嫌がらせ以上の意味があるとすれば、ここのセキュリティを殺すこと？あいつら扉を撫でてましたの。諦めたんじゃない。あっという間に壊す方法を持ってて、それを気づかれないために。
Oh, okay. Then they're gonna use the explosives.
まさか爆破する気？
ってことは、扉は一瞬で破られて、ここにもう砦の価値はねえってことじゃねえのか？
みーちゃん、今すぐにここを脱出しよう。さっき言ってた隠し井戸の脱出口を教えて。こっ
Mian was then confused amidst all the chaos. She hadn't underestimated the mountain dogs. She even considered that they would have some explosives, but she didn't think they would use them in Hinamizawa in broad daylight. Someone will hear the explosion. Is there even such a thing as a silent explosive?
荒っぽい連中なんだろう。多少の危険は顧みないのかもしれないぜ。確かにこんな事態ですが、山犬は非常に慎重な奴らです。こんな真っ昼間に爆弾なんて、高野さんならともかく、あのお好みさんが許可するはずがない。
それでもぶち抜こうってのかい。いい度胸だよ。ルナはわかんないんだけど、音がしない鉄砲があるように。
I mean, smaller ones, maybe. I honestly have zero, knowledge about explosives besides, like, some basic names from the gaming days, you know?
ないです。どんな爆弾もみんな似たような音がします。そうか、わかりましたわ。いや、監督は綿流しの本部役員ですわよね。今日のお祭り、雨天延期の判断は？
確か今日の10時に決まって。あ、
まさか運動会と同じで。
Oh, they think it's just a signal?
気を隠すには森ってことね。
Rita knew Okinoji well. He would always complain about how he had to guard her like she was a princess. Rita had never expected Okinoji to be so sharp. That was why she was more frustrated than anyone else. The mountain dogs had quickly set explosives on the basement door. Long wires were connected to the explosives, and the mountain dogs were waiting at the other end, lying flat on the ground. One of the members was holding a detonation switch. All the wires were linked to it.
もうじき10時です。
今朝連中に先生を撃たれた時はよ、よりによって今日かよと思ったよ。だが今は今日で助かったぜって思ってるぜ。
Okinoji had realized he could use the festival effectively. He was trying to make sure his enemies got what they deserved. On the morning of a village event, they used fireworks to let everyone know that an event is going to take place that day. This method is often used for track and field days at school. Since Watanashi starts in the evening, the fireworks go up at 10 a.m. The fireworks, of course, make loud, explosive noises. Since Hinamizawa is located in a ravine, the sound echoes, making it hard to figure out where it's coming from. And that was an advantage for the mountain dogs. A loud noise and a shot shook the ground like an earthquake. The explosion must have warped support beams everywhere. There was a discomforting screechy noise, and the dust fell from the ceiling. It certainly was powerful. The explosion must have blown the door wide open. An explosive that took place without anyone noticing it. Mian led everyone into one of the rocky caves. There was a well-hidden shaft in there. They called it a hidden well, but it was actually a very eerie vertical tunnel. They didn't have enough flashlights for everyone, so there's no way for them to see the entirety of the ominous hidden well.
こいつを降りろってのか。どこまで続いてるんだ。
だいぶ降りると途中に横穴があるの。そこを抜ければ山中の古井戸に抜けられるようになってる。
It also sucks for Akasaka, though. He won't run into this. He'll probably notice all the cars and stuff, but he'll be out of the loop for a bit.
ってことは、それについて一番詳しいお姉が 先頭打者決定です。
Cursed line.
お先にどうぞ。私がトップ？他の誰がトップなんです？しんがりは私と葛西が務めます。早く言って。わかった。
Mion was going to volunteer to take the rear, but Mion and Xian knew instinctively. Because there's so many of them, the rear might not make it in time. Unlike the iron door at the entrance, once the enemies were inside, all they have to do is go through the inner doors, which were easily breakable. The route was basically a straight line. They probably won't get lost on their way. That's why Xian took the rear guard position before Mion did. After all, she was actually the older sister. Xian wanted to protect her younger sister, who was playing the older sister in this real emergency. Mion intuitively knew what Xion was thinking. Mion understood well the relationship between her sister and herself. She wasn't the only one who felt guilty for taking the older sister's position. Xion felt guilty for making Mion take on responsibility of the family head. And here, finally, was a chance for Xion to atone.
ミオンさん、武器庫の鍵を。今は開けるべき時です。
The armory. Let's go. Mion silently threw over the key. Kasa and Xion took it and ran deep into the rock tunnel.
みんな聞いて。横穴まではだいたい30メートルちょっと。落ちたら底なしだよ。しかも真っ暗なんだからね。慎重に降りて。待機してる人はちゃんとはしごを照らしてあげること。一度にせいぜい1人か2人しか降りられないね。私が先陣を切る。照らしてて。
ミオンさん、気をつけて。照らす人も落ちないように。
If the lights were on, they could have gone down quickly. There were actually a few light bulbs inside of the well. Of course, Mion had already checked them. It was now certain that the enemy had cut the power to the basement. It was extremely dangerous to go down this well with just a little light from the flashlights. As one went down, there would be people lighting up the way. Mion was right. She realized as she went down herself that it was almost impossible to go down the ladder without the weak light from the flashlights. The lights didn't reach all the way down. In the darkness, her feet suddenly became unsteady. Every step she took made her more nervous. It was about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. That's quite deep enough already. But the hidden well went deeper than that. If Mion fell, she wouldn't just injure herself. Hasn't it been 30 meters yet, she thought? She couldn't even remember exactly how long 30 meters was. Had she missed the horizontal tunnel already? At that time, she felt a cool breeze on her body. She could sense a huge hole nearby, so she took out the flashlight to light the surrounding area. She saw a black tunnel yawning before her. Mion lit up the way from below.
よっしゃ。次はリカちゃんだ。その次が監督で、次が羽生、佐藤な。どんどん降りろよ。
Coach before Hanyu and Satoko, huh? I guess because he's injured. Yuria wanted to say that he would go last, but Rena gave the order first. They couldn't get into the basement of the clinic without Yuria. That is true. He is needed to save Tomodachi. Without him, they couldn't rescue Tomodachi. Their lives were all equally important, but at least for the moment, his was the second most vital after Rika. She fell. Rika was much shorter than Mion. She couldn't go down the ladder as easily. The legs were too short, and her left foot slipped.
私は昭和58年6月を超える。そしてね、もっともっと身長が伸びるのよ。
About that, well, I don't know. I just want to see the ending. Because she's still pretty tiny in the sequel.
胸だって
Is she 10?
もっと大きくなる。
True. Well, not true. I guess we don't know, huh? Hopefully she does just get to live through her human life before ascending to a witch or whatever. Sorry, spoilers.
いつまでもこんな子供の体なんて絶対にごめんなんだから。
Though she had been living for over 100 years, Rika was still afraid of heights. As she fought that fear, she tried to climb down as quickly as possible. After a while, the light from the top didn't reach her anymore, and Mion's light from below lit her way. Mion's light was enough. The next person could come down.
僕はもう大丈夫です。次、降りてきて。さあ、次は監督なのです。大人ならキビキビ降り遊ばせ。
わかりました。先に行きます。
The mountain gods moved forward carefully, wearing special goggles so they could see in the dark. The one in front notices Satoto's trap and stopped the rest of the men. It's trapped out. But it's a trap into a trap.
ウグイス1了解。大鳥1トラップの痕跡少なからず通電を検討されては。
バカ野郎、そんなことしたら連中が逃げやすくなっちまうじゃねえか。向こうはこの暗闇で逃げるのもままならねえはずだ。俺たちに有利なフィールドを最大限に使うんだ。この暗闇で追い詰めて捕らえる。これほどのでかい号だ。別に出口がきっとある。連中は隠れたりしないぞ。必ずそこから逃れようとするはずだ。突入班に火器と防弾とスタングレネードを与えろ。その座危険っていや、ヤクザの大御所だ。
It's true, Shion and Kasa are gearing up.
密輸拳銃くらいの反撃は想定しろよ。ってことは、そのワイヤートラップのプライムア程度には注意しろってことだ。全身に1000個も鉛玉食らいたくなかったらな。
Bet Okanoji's pretty excited about this.
全身バラバラになるぞ。
了解。
Satoto's traps were effective only because they were professionals. Satoto had assumed any professional would misinterpret her traps as more dangerous ones. That's why she ran wires everywhere. Ah, okay. Make them slow down. And Satoto was right. Although the mountain gods weren't successful at breaking down the iron door, they hadn't even reached the torture room, or were successful. However, the huge cave with the hidden well was just on the other side of the door to the torture room. It was just a matter of time before the enemy caught them. Hurry!
よっしゃ、次はレナだ。
ケイチ君も急いでね。ケイちゃん、どんな感じですか？
ああ、今レナが降りてる。割とキリキリ降りられるみたいだぞ。
はいはい、焦って落ちないようにね。
He was just pretending to be Mion, right?
その井戸、歴代園崎家に逆らった連中の死体を捨てるのに使ったって噂もある。
I was a little confused for a second. Yeah.
お前なんだよ、その持ってるの。
Janet returned with a big machine gun in her hands. What the heck, Keiichi thought? It's one of those machine guns they use in the war movies. Its defining characteristic is the way the magazine is bent forward. What was it called? I don't know. The AK-47 maybe? Does that have a curved thingy? Kasai had one in his hands too. That would be pretty funny if they had them in an armory. Probably something else. I don't know, guns. He appeared used to handling machine guns. It almost didn't look real. Or is it the Like the P90 stuff they were talking about in the last episode too. Maybe that's just a more common thing. But it seemed like a natural fit for this surreal world lit only by flashlights. Kichi felt like the odd one out here, since he didn't know how to use a gun. Shion and Kasai hid on the opposite sides of the cave so they could see the entrance to the torture room. Not only Kasai, but Shion also seemed to be used to doing things like that.
シオン、その役は俺がやる。だから次はシオンが降りろ。
ケイちゃんの男のプライド、サンキューです。でも、ケイちゃんにカラシニコフの説明をするより、ケイちゃんの番になったらキリキリ降りてくれる方がロスタイムが少ないです。
Oh, there you go. Kalashnikov. There's your gun touch.
いい女は死なないから。
As Shion winked at Keiichi, they heard a door be knocked down nearby. Immediately, Shion and Kasai's look turned stern, and they took cover behind the rocks, aiming their guns into the darkness. The enemies had entered the torture room. There's a flashlight next to the door. Kasai had left it there. The mounted dots seemed to be able to see in the darkness, even though they couldn't. So it was an improvised solution. The footsteps of the mountain dots were growing closer. They were passing through the torture room. In other words, the door was the only thing separating them from their enemies.
シオン、お前が先に降りろ。
シオンさん、
んで、ケイちゃんに譲って私だけ生き残ったら、私はお姉に一生恨まれますって。私の思い人はもういないけど、お姉にはいるもん。
は？お前、この忙しい時に何の？
死ぬ気はないけど、シオンに伝えて。私たち、また次の時も双子がいいね。行け！
Shion yelled, telling Keiichi to move on. He didn't understand why Shion said to tell Shion, but she asked him, so he had to convey that message. Otherwise, if something terrible really happened, Shion's message would never reach Mion. An explosion shook the air. No, not the song, dude. I feel like Kasai might actually die. I don't think Shion would die, dude. That'd be sad. But it's the song, dude. Can't hit me with the song. Something was thrown in the torture room. The explosion from that and the noise of Kasei's machine gun sounded at the same time. The clamor echoed in the cave. All I can do, as those violent flashes of light burned the series of images into my eyes, is shed tears over my own intolerable powerlessness, and climb down the ladder. Mion quickly streamed down from below. It ascended and streamed up to the top too.
ウグイス1、攻撃を受けた。敵は隠し部屋奥の大空洞内で阻止線を展開。マズルフラッシュは2、おそらく AK だ。
集団がうまいぞ、プロだ。大鳥1、指示を行う。
そう来なくっちゃな。相手はプロだぞ。キリングハウスの卒業生以外は突入するな。ウグイス1、2、大鳥7、8、突入準備。火器はいくつある？
MP5 が4、各種グレネード多数。防弾盾は突撃銃には信用できない。放棄する。
入ってすぐ脇に発光した懐中電灯が落ちている。おそらく向こうは暗視装備がないものと推定。
ウグイス1だ。突入は俺たちでやる。合図と同時にスタングレネードを放り込み、突入3回。
While the enemies were quiet, Kasei changed his magazine.
シオンさん、もう十分です。行ってください。
No, Kasai!
私が抜けたら、葛西が断層を変えている間に誰が弾幕張るんです？
ツーマンセルが基本でしょ。
There's a contradiction in what Shion just said. According to her theory, the last two can never escape. Mion kept shouting from the tunnel below.
シオンのバカ、早く降りて。
Everyone knows it wasn't safe to stay, but nobody could stop Mion from screaming.
俺とミオンはここでシオンを待つ。レナはみんなを連れて裏山に逃げてくれ。
わかった。嫌よ。誰がかけても嫌。リカ。これが最後の世界なのよ。ここで一つ後悔が残ったから、もう一度やり直そうというのはもうない。私は嫌よ。シオンが死んだり、
True.
カサイが死んだりする未来は
Save Kasai!
もうやり直せないって知ってるか
Or
ら。
Akasaka with the gank, but
いやいや、絶対嫌。
I don't know how it would work. Or a Wishi, dude.
だからシオン、早く降りてきて。
As they looked up at the top of the well, they saw a violent flash and heard a roar. Then they heard explosive sounds, different from the sound of the machine guns that Shion and Kasai were using. They also heard a tinkling sound, which could have been the sound of bullet shells. They couldn't see anything other than the flashing lights. Only the noise reached them. When everything stopped, after a little silence, footsteps that didn't belong to Shion or Kasai gathered at the top of the well. They could hear hard-soled shoes kicking the bullet shells as they walked. Oh my god. No. That voice echoed down the well, and Mion and the others heard it too. They didn't know how to react. Some became speechless, some started to cry. Some let out a wordless scream. They looked up the well as they waited for Shion and Kasai to come down. But there's no sign of them. Please. Please, there's some miracle that somehow they survived. I think Kasai's actually gonna die, but I thought Shion might survive. This is the final world, dude. You can't kill Shion. Even though Shion was never, you know, I always joke around. Well, it's not a joke. I do like Mion better than Shion, but I like Shion too. A bright beam of light shone down from the top of the well. Irei grabbed Mion and Keiichi's collars and pulled them back, but they could see in the dark. They might already know that Keiichi and the others were hiding in the horizontal tunnel. A guy shouted from the top of the well. I mean, this just isn't gonna work. They had already turned all of the flashlights off, so nobody could tell what kind of expressions they had on each other's faces. But I could sense Mion's expression distorting, and because of the darkness, nobody knew to stop her from screaming. They're alive! Blessed! Oh, was it like stun grenades? Oh, you shouldn't probably take their words at face value, because even if they gave over Rika and Irei, which they wouldn't, but they would probably just kill them anyway, right? Yan didn't rest easy at their announcement though. Because she could knew Shion's survival wouldn't help resolve the situation. Kasai!
何をする気？
As Mion looked up at the top of the well, it became very bright as she saw something unbelievable. Shion was unconscious, and one of the men was holding her. He's basically sticking her body out over the edge of the well. If the man let go of Shion, she would fall to the bottom. They had no idea how far down it went. There's no way she'd survive. Shion didn't reply, but she moved just a little bit. Shion was alive. At least for the moment.
はったりだ。落とすわけねえ。
は？何を根拠に言ってんの？人質ってのはね、2人以上いる時に限りいくらでも殺せるんだよ。上にはシオンと葛西さんがいる。奴はシオンを突き落としてもう一度こっちに同じ選択を迫れるんだよ。はったりなんかで言ってるんじゃないんだよ。
Mion lashed out fiercely at Keiichi. He regretted saying what he just did.
考える時間が必要なら与える。ただし60秒経過したら最初の人質を突き落とす。よく考えて素早く決断しろ。
どうしよう、どうしよう。
Mion was half crazed with fear and panic.
敵の狙いは私です。リカさんはすでに脱出に成功したということにして、私だけが行きましょう。それで多分許してもらえるはずです。
That plan sounded like the best idea for minimizing damage, but Rena quietly spoke up.
ダメ。しーちゃんたちがレナたちの逃げ出す時間を稼いでくれたんだもん。監督が言ったら何のためにしーちゃんたちが頑張ってくれたかわかんなくなっちゃう。
じゃあ何？シオンにしないと言うの？レナ、あんたシオンが死んでもいいって言うの？あんたね、シオンは！
やめてくださいまし、ミオンさん。私だって胸が張り裂けそうなんですのよ。だってシオンさんは私のネーネーなのに。
Well, at least we know that relationship. Kind of a mystery. Also, it's a pretty intense scene, so I'm just trying to keep quiet, you know? Mion started to cry as she held Satoko's head. The mountain god's beam of light shone into the horizontal tunnel. Their eyes had grown used to the darkness, so even with a little light, they could sort of see one another. But so what? This was a desperate situation, and Mion and Satoko continued to cry. Rena bit her lower lip, trying to hold her feelings in. Irie simply looked down. And as for Rika and Hanyu, they were restless.
どうすればいいの？羽生、どうすればいいのかわからない。僕にもどうすればいいかわかりませんです。
あんた神様でしょ。なんとかしてよ、なんとかしてよ。地通力とかで敵をやっつけてシオンを助けてよ。奇跡でも起こらなきゃ救えない。なら起こしてよ。神様のあなたが起こしてよ。
Slap. They all heard a strange sound. Everyone was surprised to see what caused it. Hanyu just slapped Rika in the face. Oh shit. The Hanyu slap. It's a evil looking Hanyu.
聞きなさい。羽生。私たちは共にあまたの世界を渡り、人の身では知り得ないことをいくつも知ってきました。ある時はあなたが教えられ、ある時は私が教えられ、いくつもの大切なことを学び、ようやくこの世界で最も大切なことを学び取りました。私たちが求めてやまず
そしてようやく得たもの、それが何かわかりますか？
It was how to make a miracle happen. A miracle is like a number you get on a die. People think that the result of the roll depends on God's mood. God holds the key to miracles. Humans don't have the right to control them. But although humans don't have the right, they can perceive. They can perceive how to improve their odds and how they can make miracles happen.
奇跡の起こし方。いいか、あなたはもう知っているはずです。私よりも先に知ったはずです。あなたが本当に大事にしたこの最後の世界。
Rika's mouth hung open. That's right, she thought. I had forgotten again how to make a miracle happen.
みんなは逃げてください。
Rika stood up. Everyone was surprised to hear what she said.
入江、みんなを頼みますです。高野は入江も僕も殺すでしょうが、僕だから多分しばらくは殺されないでしょう。
Oh. And then they have to save her. Oh, shit. You know, honestly, I wasn't thinking too hard. I thought maybe what if everyone tried to catch her, but that's probably stupid. She would still die. They would probably just get hurt, so... The logical choice, I guess. It's better than Irie, I guess, because they just want to kill Irie.
僕が出て行かなければ、今すぐシーたちは殺されます。
I mean, if they were Meadow, they would just kill them anyways, but maybe they won't.
なら、僕が捕まっても、僕が殺されるまでの時間は、きっと反撃のチャンスにもなりますです。リカちゃん。考えてみたら、
Oh,
とっても簡単なことだったの。
black text. As she spoke, Rika stepped out of the horizontal tunnel and reached the ladder. I appreciate it on the white background. The beam of light shone down on her. In this dark world, her figure seemed almost holy, like someone receiving a divine revelation.
だって、僕たちは絶対に勝てるってみんな信じてるから。僕もみんなも、そして神様までも信じてるから。ミパー。
Aww. Rita's smile told them that she trusted them 100%. She believed someone would come to rescue her before she got killed. That's why she didn't mind letting the enemy capture her. If it would save Xian and Kasai's lives, then it was nothing.
今、上がります。シーを引っ込めるのですよ。
The mountain gods pulled Xian's body away from the edge of the well.
僕の仲間に指一本触れてみろ。舌を噛んで死んでやりますです。高野は自分の手で僕を殺したがってますから、お前たちは困ったことになりますですよ。
わかった。上がってこい。
僕の仲間をこのまま見逃すのです。どうせお前たちの計画でやがて。
その条件は飲めない。命は保証するが拘束する。
じゃあお気の毒さようなら。舌を噛むよりここで手を離した方が早いわね。この底は深いわよ。私の死体が出てこないと、それもまたお前たちが計画に。
Now this is pretty metal. As long as they captured Rika, the mountain gods didn't really care about the others. They were ready to kill the rest if they resisted once they had Rika. That's why they wouldn't agree to Rika's request. Yeah, obviously. They weren't gonna let them go after the trade-off. The smart by Rika. They started to think that maybe they should just lie to Rika. But that was when they heard something. Anya started to speak in a clear voice. It was a voice with a very mysterious tone. It sounded like it was coming from below the surface of the earth, but it also sounded like it was coming from heaven. Hanyu spoke.
この私が取引に応じると言っている。ぐずぐず言わずに言う通りにせよ、ゲロ。フルで理科は上がる。それに対し、求めた小さな約束を履行せよ。天は自ら与えぬものに与えることはない。人の身に過ぎた考えは不要。身に過ぎた偽りの罪に身の程を知れ。
Nightingale 1, the member who had been demanding for their surrender, was suddenly overcome by a strange sensation. He had been in such an advantageous position, but somehow it didn't seem that way anymore. And that girl's voice, there was something strange about it. That voice belonged to something both holy and sacred. He instinctively sensed it. Humans can only negotiate with other humans. It isn't impossible to negotiate with a being greater than all humans.
待て、隊長に相談する。そのままで待て。ウグイスワンより大鳥ワン。
He had been very threatening until a minute previous, but he had grown completely perplexed. Everyone was stunned by Rika and Hanyu's mysterious auras.
必ずすぐ助け出すからね。
Rena muttered as she tried to hold back her tears.
貴様らの条件を飲もう。この場は見逃す。フルで理科は上がれ。高野三佐がお前に用があると言っている。
では行ってきますですよ。ニパー。
Fades to the heavens. Damn, this would be a chapter break, if anything. But there is no chapter breaks.
探しましたんで、リカさん。
Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Seems like a good spot to end up. Escape kind of failed, kind of successful. Probably as successful as it's gonna be, right? At least no casualties yet. But thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you again next time for some more Higurashi. See if we can hopefully meet up with Akasaka and form a plan to rescue Rika and Tomataki, and also get rid of the freaking tracking device on you. That would be great. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.